Did you tell him this is the most delicious podcast in the Metroplex?
No, I did not.
Well, welcome, everyone. I'm Bud Kennedy, Steve Wilson, and you have introduced Graham Elliot, who is the big dog in town right now and packing the house at Le Margot and like 8 other restaurants that are under his domain right now. Graham, I know that the big news, I think, is that Le Margot not only is open, the new French restaurant that's part of the Philippe Armenta far out hospitality empire, but also now you're open for lunch. Is that right? You've opened for lunch and brunch?
Correct. So we're open for lunch and we're doing a whole brunch menu, different cocktails. We're open for, happy hour, dinner. So really you can come in from 11 to 10 p.m. and try our food. But, Steve, Bud, everybody, I just want everyone to know that when I moved from Hawaii to Fort Worth, between Dallas Morning News, Fox, ABC, Texas, Bud was the first one that reached out and wanted to speak to me and hear the story and what we're doing. And so I think that that's something worth mentioning, that he was the first one to come in and really want to hear what we're doing. So I have a ton of respect for that.
Well, thank you for calling from Hawaii to tell me all about it. It was great to hear it straight from you and to know a little bit what you were doing before you got here. We didn't really arrange any weather for you that was anything like Hawaii.
No, it's incredible because, Hawaii is always like 78 degrees. And what's funny is I spoke to someone when we were opening Cowboy Prime out in Midland, and the people I talked to, they were like, literally in Texas, it's the same thing as Hawaii, except there's no water or ocean. But it's the same sand and temperature. And I was like, I don't know if that's really the same deal. But
I didn't know they had tumbleweeds, and I didn't know they had tumbleweeds in Hawaii at all. That's news to me. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's worth mentioning that this is a statewide restaurant empire. There are restaurants in Midland and San Angelo as well as in, the Fort Worth area. We're talking about Le Margot because it's the newest and probably the hottest ticket in Fort Worth dining right now. It's at 3150 South Hewlin and Bel Air. In recent years, it's been a corner bakery. Before that, have you heard all about it when it was a Blockbuster Video?
So what's so funny is literally 2 nights ago, someone came up to me and like, do you know what this used to be? And I was like, well, in the kitchen, I know it used to be a corner bakery. And they're like, no. Before that, it was a Blockbuster Video. I was like, okay, cool. So like Be Kind, Rewind, like you wake up and you're hoping the new Nintendo PlayStation game shows up. And they're like, exactly. But what's amazing is when it comes to restaurants, you can find a space and it doesn't matter where it is or what it used to be. But if you have the right vision and menu and service and dining room and design and music, etc., all of it will make sense. And so I love that some people know that it used to be a Blockbuster, but I'm hoping in 30 years, people will look back and be like, do you know what's amazing? Le Margot opened in this corner, and it's one of the most world-renowned restaurants ever that Philippe Armenta and his team and group opened. And we're so lucky to be in this space because it's kind of like if you bought a house or, a piece of real estate, there's history behind it. There's a story, etc. But for us to be able to come in and create a dining room, a bar, a chef's counter, a dining room, etc., I think that that's something that's really amazing when you think of all of these spaces with restaurants are like a living unit, and we're coming in and leaving our mark in it right now.
It doesn't.
I want to ask you. Go ahead, Steve.
It doesn't look like anything like a Blockbuster to me anymore.
No, but I was gonna say the picture you just showed. It's clearly that's not what Blockbuster or Corner Bakery looked like.
Yeah, I don't see body heat for rent there anywhere. So yeah, that seems to be what people went to Blockbuster for. Rentals of all the latest Kathleen Turner movies back then, or whatever they
Kathleen. All right, Bud. Let me ask you.
I'm no older than
note.
that, I know.
No. But what was the last time you can remember going to a movie rental place and renting a movie to watch at home with the fam?
There were a couple. My wife actually has worked in movies, and there was a movie rental store on Mockingbird after a lot of the others had closed that had a lot of small independent movies. And, it was before you could stay home and watch a Sundance Channel or something like that. So we actually went within knowing her. So 16, 17 years ago, but it's been a long time. And that was a good time back then, though, getting some movies, a little food to take home. But now you're selling something a lot better there. Tell me a little bit about what you've learned about Fort Worth since you opened Le Margot. It's been open, a month now, and it's been full almost every night. I hear that the Soul Manure sells out about 6:30. You open at 5, and the Soul's gone by 6:30 sometimes. But tell me what you've learned. What's been a surprise about Fort Worth taste, and what did you expect?
Bud, who is your inside CIA FBI person telling you how many things we sell by when? Now I'm nervous. I can't trust you.
Oh, it's the customer.
Well, I mean, it's what people.
Has an ear to the customer.
I hear from people. I
know. You have the ear to the ground. But so just so you know, so with me, I've been to all 50 states. I grew up. I went to 15 different schools. I dropped out, got a GED. I was a dishwasher busboy, and then I went to Johnson & Wales. I got a culinary degree. When I was able to choose a internship, I wanted to be as far away as I could be from my family, and the spot was Cathay Pacific in Highland Park, and so I went there. At the same time, I worked lunch with Stephen Piles at Star Canyon, and then at night I started working at the Mansion on Turtle Creek with Dean, and that I for a year and a half when I was 20 like Texas and Dallas was it. I was on Lucas Drive next to Cedar Springs. That's where I lived, and so it's amazing to think now I have this second part 2.0 to come back and work on things, which is amazing. And when I started, I moved here 9 months ago, and what's so funny is right now at Le Margot we have an open, what we call the pass or the window, and I'm there every single night. So every dish that comes out, I'm looking at it, I'm wiping the plate, I'm adding sea salt to it, whatever. If somebody says it's salty, I hate it, I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight because I was the one that signed off on it. But what's amazing is, being able to connect with people, and then also mention we're going to be opening F1, this amazing full service bar using china and silverware, type of barbecue spot. Then we're going to be opening a Cowboy Prime in the stockyards across the street from the John Wayne Museum, and then we're doing this and this. So I feel blessed to be part of that team, but actually being there every single night to talk to people and interact with them, I think that's the coolest thing ever. So again, I'm really excited with what we're doing day in and day out.
Now, we should mention all the restaurants because a lot of people don't know the Pacific Table. Actually, Philippe's first restaurant here was the Tavern. And it became known pretty. Everybody did old Snuffers Burgers, and it became known pretty early for better than expected steaks, chops. That he had good meat entrees, and people thought, well, let's go to the Tavern instead of going to the steakhouse, or let's go to the Tavern for brunch. It became known for good meat entrees and for brunch. Then Pacific Table came along. Pacific Table originally was named because of the locomotive round table behind it. But at some point, Pacific evolved into meaning Pacific Northwest, and so it has some sushi on the menu, some Asian touches, and then the Tavern has a cousin up in Alliance named Town Grill that has a menu very much like the Tavern. More recently, Press Cafe came along. Press Cafe on the River Trail in down in the shopping area down off Chisholm Trail Parkway. And then Maria's Mexican Cuisine, named to honor his family in San Angelo. Felipe grew up in a Mexican restaurant family. Armenta's in San Angelo. And so all these different concepts have come along. And then coming soon, like you said, F1 Smokehouse, which will be a nicer barbecue place at 4th and University, near the West 7th area, but not near enough that you can't find a parking place. And then Cowboy Prime in the Stockyard. So these are all concepts. There's something similar about all these restaurants. They all have a really vibrant bar scene and cocktail scene. Some would call it loud, but it's always
Come
fun.
on, bud. What are you, like 85 now? You're like, oh, it's loud. I can't.
I tell people to go early and they'll be fine.
Come on.
But it's
You're cooler than that, bud.
Some would call it loud and some would call it fun. So, but all these restaurants have a lot of energy. And what is there a way to sum up the formula for these restaurants? They are high energy, not a big menu, but a little something for everything. Is there a definition for what's shared among all these restaurants?
Yeah. So a couple points. One, Steve, I think you need to stop talking so much because you've been taking over this entire conversation. No one can get a word in.
I'm going to take a drink and Steve could ask the next question.
Is that like an 85-ounce thing of water or espresso?
You haven't been in Texas long enough. This is the medium.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's 105 right now, which is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. But, all right. So anyway, what I think is interesting is I always say all chefs are failed rock stars. So I sing and play guitar. I used to be in a band. You know, everyone plays a different part. There's certain restaurants where you can be spontaneous. Like at Les Margot tonight, I can show up and be like, we've got some leftover shrimp. What if we do a shrimp risotto and we'll shave some truffle on top? And then there's other restaurants like Pacific Table or Town where these are the dishes people love. Let's focus on consistency. This is what we want to do. So you have a different approach where this is jazz, this is reggae, this is punk rock, this is, whatever. And so you are able to put your personality into certain parts. And I always say, if it's not broken, break it. So the minute someone loves the steak frites at Les Margot, I'm like, okay, now we got to get rid of it. Let's do like some crazy new steak and let's do potato chips instead of fries. And let's do, a garlic vinaigrette instead of an aioli. Let's do that. But again, what's amazing is having Felipe and, the rest of the team say, I love that. This makes sense, but let's focus on this. And then maybe do this as like a feature or a special. So I think, again, when you have multiple people that are at the same level of passion as you, and they're able to contribute different type of ideas, it makes the restaurant and the menu that much stronger. So I'm really, again, I can come up with a barbecue menu at F1, but when I talk to, Felipe and Vern Erickson and Ryan and, the other people on the team, and they say, this makes sense. I don't know about this. Maybe we should do this version. Maybe I think that, again, it's like a band putting music together and saying, this is the playlist tonight. This is what we're going to do tonight at the concert. This is how we're going to play that. And as long as there's a great respect and appreciation of what each person literally brings to the table, it makes it that much more fun and makes the end result that much better.
Steve, let's get to the food. Show them the food and ask about the food.
Well, you mentioned potato chips. So did you bring the potato chips to the table here?
Yeah. So, okay, Steve, tell me, what would you think that is if it was brought in front of you?
A steak tartare,
Maybe. What else is with it?
potato chips. Is there? I'm not for sure what the white things are on top.
Oh, come on, Steve. God, how do you not know that? All right, I'm kidding. So, hand cut filet mignon, marinated with caper, olive oil, chopped herbs, shallots, and then topped with some little chervil and squirts of horseradish cream, served with potato chips. So, literally, if you explained all of that to a guest, they might be intimidated. But if you say, hey, this is the chef's version of, steak and potatoes, it's hand cut filet mignon, little bit of horseradish and some potato chips, people are going to say, that sounds awesome. I want that. And
that's one of the real joys of the menu is the language and explanations are clear and concise.
Exactly.
On the menu, exactly, that says that's prime beef tartare with potato chips
Yes.
and horseradish.
And you don't need a server to be like, it's hand cut this mixed with this, and then we put an egg, and then and it's like a 40-minute dissertation. It's like steak and potato, but it's hand cut filet mignon with horseradish cream and a little quail egg and some chips, and people are like, wow, that sounds so cool. And so I think the kitchen or me or Philippe the chef can come up with ideas. The biggest thing is being able to sell the vision and philosophy behind it to the servers so that they can tell the guests this is what it is.
So how do you sell snails?
Well, right. So this is the thing. I feel that people that come in to a French restaurant are going to expect escargot. And we originally opened for the first 2 weeks. It was a different vessel, and it was the escargot or snails with like garlic herb butter and little pieces of puff pastry on top. But when you ate it, we talk about like the eatability. So when you eat it, you're like, it's okay, but it's kind of like grassy and like, I don't know. So we decided, what if we stew down cream and make it like a pot pie and some flour, and we add the escargot and veggies and tarragon, and then we top it with like a nice big piece of puff pastry, and now we're selling like 25 a night, and everyone says that's our favorite thing. And what's amazing is when you think of cuisine and actual culinary skill, every single culture does the best with what they have. No one woke up in France and said, you know what, I don't want that beef tenderloin or Dover sole. I really want to eat some goddamn snails today. That's what I want. No one says that. Same thing. People don't say, I want to wake up and instead of the pork loin or the, pork chop on the rib and the what, I feel like eating the belly. But when you realize people do the best with what they have, it's the same thing. A great chef can make people go back in time to where they taste this and have an appreciation versus just, here's an escargot dish. As long as the server can sell that idea and vision to the guest, they'll have an incredible experience.
Steve, kind of run through what we have, and I know the listening audience on the podcast can't see these, but they're all worth seeing. Do we have the mussels? What else do we have?
Well, we have what's this, French onion soup or?
That is okay. So French onion soup is traditionally roasted caramelized onions with beef stock, topped with bread and Gruyere. What we wanted to do was make it more of a really concentrated flavor, and it's also at the same time actually vegetarian. So we make a mushroom stock with portobellos and the black portobello gills cooked down with garlic. We make this soup. We roast onions. It's topped with this sourdough, a little bit of thyme, Gruyere. It's roasted, and that's it. And again, when you think of French cuisine, the idea is less is more. So I look at this and it's like, we could have added that and this and veal stock and roasted whatever and topped it with it. But it's like, no, the best ingredients sometime in a dish are the ones you leave off the plate. So this is an amazing mushroom stock with stewed onion, topped with some sourdough that we cook in the house, Gruyere, and some thyme. And that's it.
And this is what you get because you took these pictures with your phone on the path as that's coming out. So what we're seeing
exactly
this is what you're seeing.
The one that you're showing me right now, I literally last night we decided, okay, we're serving Dover sole. We've got this amazing wild salmon. Why don't we just do, instead of like a tuna tartare, why don't we do a crudo, which is, instead of a ceviche, it's like marinated in olive oil, and we'll top it with like a little bit of herb cream and some chive batons, and then let's make it like a bitter orange vinaigrette, because when you think of Italy and France, like it's not the oranges they have aren't the same oranges we use. So let's use these ingredients, add a little bit of sugar, some, lime juice, chopped herbs, some sea salt, and that's what it is. It's literally like 3 or 4 ingredients, and that's what we serve.
Now, I should mention here that we're looking at a lot of the delicate items, but the nightly specials are the entrees, the specials that you look for. Friday's a Chateaubriand, Saturday's a lobster thermidor. Some of these things that we've seen on
look at the one that you have
we've seen on menus, like once in 20 years here that you're doing every week now. Sunday bouillabaisse, it's great.
Right now in front of me that you posted, that's the au poivre. Are we looking at the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. So we portion the beef tenderloin and then we tie them with string so that they cooked evenly, perfectly. We grill them. We plate it. There's on the side potato puree, which is like half potato, half cream and butter, grilled asparagus, and then we top the actual au poivre, the steak, with green peppercorn, cognac, sauce, garnished with a little bit of watercress, and that's the dish that you see. So if you look at it, when we talk about, Les Margot, we've got Les Margot, Tavern, Town, Pacific Table, Press Cafe, Maria, et cetera, et cetera. We want Les Margot to be the place where people come in and learn in the kitchen how to do things. So the reason that this au poivre filet mignon looks good is because we portioned it, we tied it with, string. We cut that string off, we plated it. So instead of, this one looks flat, this one looks big, they're all uniform. They cook perfectly. They're a gorgeous mid-rare, and that's what you're seeing in front of you. Green peppercorns, cognac cream, a little bit of watercress, and that's it. So I think that, Philippe and I understand that we're opening other restaurants. Les Margot needs to be, the AAA ball club where people understand what we're doing.
Now here, this is the fallback, the lavender glazed chicken. This is the safety zone.
Come on, look at that. If you were working in a hotel, Ritz-Carlton, whatever restaurant, they would say, let's add some garnish, let's add some microgreens, we need some potatoes, and what we do is say, We're going to cook down sun-dried tomatoes and garlic and shallots and a little bit of we're going to make an incredible sauce and a little bit of sauteed spinach. We're not adding 1,000 different ingredients. It's literally some spinach. And on top, we've got this incredible, beautiful chicken breast with a crispy skin, and we glaze it with some honey, top it with lavender and sea salt, and that's it. We don't need to add anything else to it. That's all. And every single person that's ever had that in the last 3 weeks since we opened are like, that's the best chicken I've ever had in my life. You don't need to add tons of different things. It's just perfect and beautiful.
Steve, these things look great. Is there anything else you wanted to ask about?
No, it does look really good, and you're so enthusiastic about talking about food. That's another thing that really comes off. That I really feel like you must really love it, but it looks really good.
And I should tell people right now, don't go start the car right this second if you're watching live, because only the bar menu is being served right now. The dinner starts at 5. Lunch is 11 to 2 daily. Brunch is 10 to 2 on Saturdays and Sundays, and then dinner starts at 5. So if you're watching this, we've been looking at photos from Le Margot, which is new at 3150 South Hewlin and Bel Air in the Tanglewood neighborhood of Fort Worth, in front of the Tom Thumb. Get your bearings on where it is. Graham Elliot has been our very enthusiastic guest, telling us about all these wonderful dishes. And I guess after looking at all this and hearing you just wax poetic about these dishes, I guess my next question would be, what next? What dishes are you going to add or change on this menu? And then what's your next ambition? There's not an Italian concept, right? So what's next?
Bud, why can't you just be happy with what I do? Why you gotta ruin my whole life? And
I gave you a month.
No, so Margot is incredible. Now we're going to work on F1. In 2 months after that, we're going to be opening Press Cafe in Aledo. And then after that, we're looking at doing, the Cowboy Prime in Stockyards. So these are the things we're working on. But I think that, again, I work every single night at Le Margot at the Pass. And if people want to come in, say hi, try food, take a picture, chat, whatever, that's the most important thing to know is, I'm right there if they want to talk.
And if they want a burger, you've got a burger.
We have 2 burgers. We got Royale with cheese, where it's a brie cream and roasted brie, a little watercress, and then we also during lunch have a blue cheese prosciutto, arugula, truffle aioli. So we've got all that. But I'm there every night, every day, all the time. If anyone wants to come by, chat, I'll be there.
Steve, what'd you have to say?
I was wondering, do we need a reservation?
I'll jump in and say you make reservations on Tock, T-O-C-K. It's a fairly new platform for this market, but a lot of restaurants have moved to Tock. So Tock is the reservation platform on the internet or on your phone app.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, is it like now if I just walk in, should I have a reservation? Is it really busy?
So if you called right now at Margot, you can make a reservation. And if it's kind of last second, you're like, I just want to come in, they'll say, yep, we have, walk-in spots available at the bar or over here or whatever. But if it's, I hate my wife and she hates me and I really want to make her love me, and what can I do? I need a table. Call in and make that reso.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
You've just summed up the challenge for French restaurants in Fort Worth is to be more than just I got to take my wife someplace nice, or it's a birthday, anniversary. special occasion restaurant. The challenge is to become the Tuesday night, let's just hang out and grab dinner restaurant. And so you've got enough different stuff to overcome that.
Again, but you're the first person I ever talked to before I even moved here 9 months ago. Even if it's off the record, think of, Waters and, this place and whatever it is. Is there any other restaurant that you have seen open with a chef, a restaurant group, the background, the dining room and music and the uniforms, and that? Have you seen a restaurant open in the last 10 years that is at the same level? And again, this is off the record. I just want your impression, because I really think we're doing something really cool and special.
Well, not at this level. I think as far as the excitement and the energy and the instant hit, I think Maria's was just as much instant smash. So, but again, that's
I will go to Maria's
from the same company.
I'll go to Maria's before any other restaurant. I love Maria's, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of different restaurants and chefs. You got Tim Love, you got all these different people, but I really think if I remove myself, or Philippe did, when you look at a restaurant with this dining room and uniforms and playlists and the TV playing, black and white movies, and et cetera, I think we're doing some really cool stuff. And again, it take me and Philippe out of it, but just, again, Bud, you've been to every restaurant in the world. I think
it's a lot of fun. I hung around at one of the, just at opening for a few minutes, not at opening night, but one of the openings, and then I'm looking forward to coming back. So it's a fun place. I think people in Fort Worth have found it to be fun, and I hope the viewers and listeners.
You're kind of cutting in and out there, Bud. I think probably should wrap this up.
Okay, well, Steve, you go ahead and take it and wrap it up.
So, Side note, I literally 6 nights a week, I'm at what we call the pass, where I'm seeing every dish come out. We have a bar, we have the dining room with like 20 tables, but 2 feet behind me is kind of the oyster bar chef's counter. And so I always tell people, if you want to hang out and chat, sit there, because I'm there and we can hang out and talk all the time. So I think that's something really, special that people should know. They can just hang out at the chef's counter.
Steve, if you can't hear me, wrap it up, or I'll say until next time on the Eat Speed podcast. I'm Bud Kennedy.
And Steve Wilson.
All right.
Thank you, Graham Elliott.
Thank you, guys.